The other big question about David Cameron at the moment is how it is he can spend 9.3 million on trying to persuade the UK to remain in the EU. Well, we'll probably do it anyway, even if we vote out, given that Holland has just voted a resounding no to an influx of Ukrainians, and the EU has quite simply overridden their decision. Tyranny, not democracy. So now we have our Prime Minister giving us one side of the story he wants us to hear, at a cost of £9.3 million to the British taxpayer. That's the same taxpayer he's been saving from DSS scroungers. Hell, why should people who are too sick to work, why should people who are poor, why should people who are homeless get taxpayers' money when you can spend it on persuading everyone that they should stay in the EU? I keep seeing in my news feed, it's obviously FB doesn't monitor my posts, or it wouldn't be there, why women should stay in the EU, how the EU protects women. Well, the answer is rather clearly that it doesn't at all. I saw something there about equal pay. Excuse me, the Equal Pay Act was passed in the UK in 1970, which was several years before we went into the EEC, which, by the way, was not the same as the EU. It was a trading agreement. It only really became the EU about 20 years later, or at least we only entered the EU about 20 years later, without a vote on our part. What has the EU done for women? Nothing. It has not afforded us equal pay. We already had that act, thank you. In addition to that, we have a massive influx of Islam. And as I've said in a previous video, the Islamic community of Southampton used to be, what the heck would you call now, moderate Muslims? Not fundamental Muslims or fundamentalists. I never saw a burqa in Southampton the whole time I lived there. Never saw a burqa. But there was a large Pakistani community, which is to say a Muslim community. What we now have, I just saw another lovely article about why a woman had left the feminist movement in order to protect women's rights. And I'm with her. I'm absolutely with her. In order to protect women's rights today, you do have to leave the feminist movement. Because the feminist movement has been infiltrated by the cultural relativists, the multicultural project, which now has European women put on hijabs, not burqas as yet, but hijabs, in solidarity with Muslim women. This, while Muslim women in the third world, well, not necessarily the third world, the Middle East, are begging us not to do it. To them, the burqa, the hijab, the whole kit and caboodle that goes with that is repression. It is a sign that they cannot go outdoors without wearing this heap of shit. And by the way, if we do ban the burqa in the UK, unfortunately, the side effect of that, well, not the side effect, the immediate effect will be that Muslim women are confined indoors. They will be prisoners in their own homes. Bit of a tough one, really. My suggestion, I'm sorry, is that those first generation people who are not born here and not brought up here should return to the countries where wearing the burqa is the norm. And then there won't be a problem, will there? But who has foisted all this upon us? The EU has. It was not there before. This problem was not there prior to the EU. So what is done for women is to persuade feminists that solidarity with Muslims involves wearing a garment that is widely acknowledged as repressive in the Middle East. It has done nothing for equal pay, nothing whatsoever, as I say. That was already there. It has done nothing to prevent us from being sexually assaulted. Stand up, women in Munich and all over Germany, who were sexually assaulted on New Year's Eve by large numbers of Muslim refugees. Correct me if I've got that one wrong. Is it Malmö in Sweden is now the rape capital of Europe. And what is almost never said is that the rapes are being committed by Muslims. Not Asians, which would include Chinese, Indians. The list is endless. But specifically Muslims. Even Asian people are begging us to be specific and say Muslim, not Asian, because it's not Chinese people doing this, it's not Japanese people doing this, it's Muslim people doing this. So what they've actually done, the EU, is to subject women to a huge influx of a religion which treats women as absolutely nothing, with absolutely no rights, and which specifically gives them permission to rape women who are non-Muslim. That is a specific tenet of their faith, that non-Muslim women are fair game to be raped. And this was not a problem before the EU threw open our borders for us. So my answer to stay in the EU because it's protecting you as a woman is F off, you twerps. I am not falling for that, and no woman in her right mind will fall for that.